A heavy Wisconsin storm is raging outside.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the wind is just howling, and rain is really lashing against the thick, reinforced concrete walls of a heavily restricted prison facility.
It paints such a bleak picture.
Right. And inside, a mother is sitting in this sterile, echoing visitation room. She is, waiting nervously.
Uh-huh.
And then the heavy steel door suddenly clanks and opens. A young woman wearing a standard-issue green uniform walks in. The stark, suffocating reality of that room is just undeniable.
Yeah, you can really feel it.
I mean, imagine you're sitting there processing that environment. Because just days earlier, this exact same mother was walking the red carpet at the 2026 Tony Awards in New York City.
The contrast there is just insane.
It really is. The flashbulbs, the velvet ropes, the designer clothes, all the adoring crowds. But right now, in this cold, hyper-secure room, the Hollywood gloss is completely stripped away. Welcome to StarScope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
Today's deep dive is unpacking a massive, incredibly complex stack of sources for you. We are looking at everything from, intricate court records and legal motions to tabloid reports and remarkably heartfelt Substack poems.
Yeah.
Our mission is to unravel the heartbreaking, multi-layered saga of television icon Rosie O'Donnell and her estranged daughter, Chelsea. We are looking at a story that defies every conventional celebrity narrative, replacing public relations spin with raw, documented tragedy.
I am still trying to wrap my head around the contrast of this scene, to be honest.
Well, it's a lot.
You have a television icon stepping out of the glittering 2026 Tony Awards and directly into a Wisconsin prison visitation room. We are talking about Rosie O'Donnell finally seeing her daughter face to face.
Right.
But what really grabs my attention is the catalyst for this reunion. Chelsea, who is 28 years old now, specifically requested that her mother visit.
And that request is a massive olive branch, especially when you consider the hostility that has defined their relationship for the last decade.
Absolutely.
And the way this visit unfolded, it gives us a rare, unfiltered look into their dynamic. When Chelsea walked into that visitation room in her green uniform, the focus wasn't on the legality.
Right, it wasn't about the court cases.
No, not at all. From the moment the door opened, the focus was entirely on the physical and emotional state of this young woman.
Rosie was clearly bracing herself for the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, you would expect someone serving time after a brutal spiral of addiction to look entirely depleted. But from Rosie's perspective, Chelsea looked surprisingly healthy. She was rested, she was calm and clear-eyed, and Rosie even noted a specific sensory detail, which it really got to me.
What was that?
She wrote that Chelsea smelled familiar.
Oh, wow.
Right? That detail just shatters the celebrity illusion. That is a mother recognizing the scent of her child beneath, the institutional soap and the prison uniform.
It's so deeply human.
Yeah. They shared a brief, tight embrace. You can almost feel the physical weight of that hug. Years of public feuding, tabloid warfare, and private agony, all kind of suspended for just a moment.
But the reality of their environment didn't stay suspended for long.
No, it didn't.
This delicate moment of reconnection was abruptly cut short by a severe tornado warning.
Which is just wild.
Right. When a heavily restricted facility like Pachita Correctional Institution gets a severe weather alert, the protocols are instant and they're uncompromising.
They don't mess around.
Exactly. The visitation is terminated, doors are locked down, inmates are moved immediately. The visit was over before it barely even began.
And Chelsea looked completely crestfallen. I mean, for you listening, imagine that emotional whiplash.
It's devastating.
You finally reach out after years of estrangement. Your mother flies across the country. You share this incredible moment of clarity, and then literal severe weather rips the moment away.
Yeah.
The sirens go off, and she is just marched back to a cell. So Rosie had to process all of this during a stormy emotional drive back to her hotel.
Right.
Normally this is where a celebrity calls their publicist, right? To draft a sanitized, carefully vetted statement to get ahead of the tabloid leaks.
But she didn't do that. Instead, she processed her feelings entirely publicly, which is a massive departure from standard Hollywood crisis management.
Yeah, it really was.
She posted an Instagram update, and then she went to her Substack and published a 30-stanza free verse poem titled My Child Chelsea.
30 stanzas.
Yeah. She didn't offer a legal defense or try to minimize the crimes. She wrote openly about unconditional love being the only way through the darkness. And she revealed that they are now speaking every day and that she is finally feeling something she hasn't felt in a very long time regarding Chelsea.
Which is,
Optimism.
we are so conditioned to seeing those sanitized celebrity PR statements, those carefully crafted narratives meant to protect a brand at all costs.
Oh, definitely.
But this prison visit and the poetry that followed, it completely incinerates that playbook. The fame couldn't save them from the tornado warning, it couldn't bypass the prison guards, and it certainly couldn't cure the addiction. It's just a mother, a daughter, and a heavily restricted room.
The legal system and the physical reality of a prison are tremendous equalizers. All the access and wealth in the world didn't prevent the cascade of events that landed Chelsea in that green uniform.
No, it didn't.
And to understand the gravity of that visitation room, we really have to examine the sheer velocity of Chelsea's downfall.
And the descent was brutal. If you think this was just a sudden slip, wait until you hear the shocking allegations that ultimately forced the judge's hand. It is going to leave you speechless. That's next.
We have to ask, how does a celebrity's daughter end up in Tachita Correctional Institution? Because that is a facility where more than half the inmates are violent offenders.
It's a very serious place.
It is. To understand this, we need to map out the timeline for you. In 2024, Chelsea faced a barrage of severe arrests. The charges were devastating. We're talking meth possession, resisting an officer, bail jumping, and child neglect.
Child neglect combined with meth possession. That just paints a horrifying picture.
Yeah, it's a complete structural collapse of a person's life.
But instead of going straight to a maximum security prison, the legal system initially offered her a lifeline. She entered the Marinette County Treatment Drug Court program.
Right, and drug courts operate on a fundamentally different philosophy than traditional punitive courts.
Okay, how so?
They are designed as a rehabilitative diversion. The goal is to treat the underlying addiction driving the criminal behavior rather than simply warehousing the offender. So during her initial stay at the Marinette County Jail as part of this process, the conditions were heavily structured around behavioral incentives.
Now, I have to admit, I struggle with how these incentives actually look in practice.
Yeah, they can seem weird to outsiders.
Because the sources outlined that while she was at the Marinette County Jail, Chelsea had access to tacos, pizza, cable TV, and board games.
I know.
It sounds completely contradictory. You have a young woman facing child neglect and meth charges, and she's eating pizza and playing board games.
Right.
It sounds more like a restrictive summer camp than a consequence for severe crimes.
It does seem counterintuitive, I completely agree, but it is deeply rooted in behavioral psychology.
Okay.
When dealing with severe substance abuse, the brain's reward pathways are entirely hijacked by the drug. So the justice system uses these seemingly trivial perks, pizza, television, game time, as micro-incentives.
Ah, I see.
You comply with your medication schedule, you pass your drug tests, you get a small, tangible reward. It is a desperate attempt to retrain a chemically dependent brain to value normal, everyday comforts over the high.
But, the board games couldn't cure the addiction.
No.
The underlying demons were clearly too strong for behavioral micro-incentives because she struggled immensely with compliance. There were medication violations.
Yeah, multiple times.
And the court's response to these violations feels almost academic to me. She was ordered to write an essay on why she shouldn't be kicked out of the program.
Again, it's about forcing cognitive engagement. Writing an essay requires the individual to sit down, reflect on their actions, and actually articulate a desire to change.
Right.
But it wasn't just essays. She was put on lockdown and forced to complete 36 hours of community service. The court was basically exhausting every possible rehabilitative tool within its arsenal to keep her on track.
Then we reached the absolute breaking point. In September 2024, a motion was filed to terminate her participation in the drug court entirely.
Yeah, this is where it all falls apart.
And the reason wasn't another missed medication dose. It was a severe, shocking, new allegation sexual assault.
It's just staggering.
Specifically, she was accused of sexually assaulting a man who was a passenger in a car she was driving.
And that allegation fundamentally alters how the justice system perceives the offender.
How do you mean?
Well, the drug court model is built for nonviolent addiction recovery. The moment a violent or predatory allegation like sexual assault is introduced, the rehabilitative framework collapses.
That makes sense.
By March of 2025, she had pleaded guilty to her previous charges and was sentenced to 6 years of strict probation. But with the new allegations looming, her remaining leeway evaporated. By October 2025, her probation was fully revoked.
The allele hammer finally dropped.
Yeah.
And by December of 2025, she was transferred out of the county jail with the cable TV and the incentive programs and sent straight to Taycheedah Correctional Institution.
Yeah.
The whiplash is terrifying. You go from a heavily monitored but somewhat accommodating county fed-up directly into a facility housing violent offenders.
The mechanics of probation revocation are cold, and they are absolute. Once the court determines that the risk to public safety outweighs the potential for rehabilitation, the transition is immediate.
Wow.
This timeline proves that addiction systematically dismantles privilege. We often assume that celebrity proximity buys an infinite amount of legal leniency.
Right, because of the money.
Exactly. But when the violations mount and the behavior escalates to new criminal allegations, the system stops caring who your mother is.
If you are gripped by the twists in this deep dive, make sure you're subscribed. We have even more staggering details about the O'Donnell family history coming up. Because to truly understand the woman sitting in that green uniform, we have to look backwards.
We really do.
This wasn't a sudden crisis. It was the explosive climax of a decade of family fracture, an $80 million will snub, and a desperate search for a new identity.
The foundation of this story is built on immense early trauma. Chelsea was adopted by Rosie and her then-wife, Kelly Carpenter, in 1997. But her start in life was fraught with physiological challenges.
Right.
She was born dependent on drugs to her birth mother, Deanna McCauley.
And we cannot gloss over what that means. Being born dependent on drugs means your very first experience outside the womb is severe chemical withdrawal.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Your nervous system is in agony before you even open your eyes.
Oh.
That early, profound trauma really set the stage for an incredibly turbulent adolescence.
That turbulence peaked during her teenage years, which became an absolute battleground. Chelsea was sent, entirely against her will, to unregulated, troubled teen wilderness programs and boarding schools in Utah.
Wow.
She spent 4 years locked in this system.
Let's talk about the troubled teen industry, because it is notoriously harrowing.
It is so bad.
We are talking about unregulated wilderness camps where teenagers are often taken from their beds in the middle of the night by absolute strangers.
Just pull out of their homes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They are dropped in the Utah desert, stripped of their autonomy, and subjected to intense, often punitive psychological conditioning. I just find myself wondering how a parent justifies sending their child into that environment.
Parents dealing with out-of-control adolescent behavior are often desperate. The troubled teen industry markets itself brilliantly to terrified, wealthy parents, promising a structured therapeutic reset.
So they sell a quick fix.
They sell salvation. But the reality for the teenager is a profound sense of abandonment. Chelsea later revealed that she deeply, profoundly resented Rosie for those 4 years.
I can imagine.
From her perspective, it wasn't therapy. It was a devastating betrayal by the very people who chose to adopt and protect her.
And at 17, Chelsea acted on that deeply ingrained resentment. She ran away to New Jersey with an older man.
Yeah, that was huge news.
It sparked a massive, highly publicized search. And when she was finally located, the story took an even more chaotic turn. She eventually managed to reconnect with her birth mother, Deanna, in Wisconsin.
And that reunion could have been a quiet, private moment of healing, but instead it became a public spectacle.
Right.
Deanna didn't just welcome Chelsea back. She went to the press and publicly accused Rosie of stealing her baby while she was high.
Just imagine the psychological toll it takes on a teenager. You flee a celebrity adoptive mother you resent, only to run into the arms of a birth mother who is making explosive, tabloid-ready kidnapping accusations.
It's so messy.
Her entire sense of self, her entire origin story, was just being ripped apart in the public eye.
Which brings us to a critical breaking point in January of 2025. Chelsea receives news that would severely destabilize anyone, let alone someone already battling severe addiction.
Right.
She learned that she was entirely cut out of Rosie's $80 million estate.
$80 million. Think about that from Chelsea's perspective. It has to feel like the ultimate rejection.
Absolutely.
But, I look at that $80 million snub very differently. Well, if you know your child is battling a severe, life-threatening meth addiction, handing them millions of dollars isn't a lifeline.
Right.
It is an anvil. It will drag them straight to the bottom. Is it possible that completely cutting her out of the will was a mother's last agonizing attempt to avoid literally funding her own daughter's deadly addiction?
That is the excruciating paradox of parenting an addict. What looks like extreme cruelty from the outside, cutting off financial support, rewriting a will, is frequently the only boundary a parent has left when every other intervention, from drug courts to rehabs, has failed.
Right, because everything else was exhausted.
It is the ultimate manifestation of tough love, executed on a multi-million-dollar scale. You sever the resources to stop the spiral.
Reeling from that financial and emotional severance, Chelsea took a drastic, permanent step. She filed legal paperwork to completely erase her identity.
Yeah.
She asked the court to change her name to Chelsea Newens, taking Deanna's maiden name. She didn't just want distance, she wanted the name O'Donnell legally eradicated.
A legal name change is a profound symbolic act. You have to stand in front of a judge and declare that the identity that housed and fed you is no longer yours.
It's heavy.
And Rosie grappled with this profound rejection publicly through her poetry. She wrote, quote, "She wishes to change her last name. Doesn't make sense to me. I am not her."
Wow.
We see a devastating trajectory here. The initial trauma of being born drug dependent, the psychological scarring of the troubled teen industry, the resentment of being sent away, and ultimately, this legal execution of her identity.
We are nearing the end of this incredibly heavy deep dive, but there is one final heartbreaking detail about Chelsea's current reality that Rosie revealed in her post.
Yeah.
And it fundamentally changes how you view that woman sitting in the green uniform.
Well, Rosie left that Taishita visitation room feeling a rare sense of optimism about their restored communication. There is a lingering tragedy that remains unresolved.
Yeah.
Chelsea's not just an estranged daughter. She is a mother herself. She has 4 young children of her own, 3 girls and a boy.
And Rosie explicitly noted that these 4 young children have not visited their mother in prison.
It's devastating.
She stated that this absence, this complete physical separation from her own kids, is something that deeply pains Chelsea. She is sitting in a heavily restricted facility, completely cut off from them. The trauma just has cyclical echoes.
Which leaves us with a profound question to explore long after the facts of this case fade. Rosie is hopeful right now. The daily phone calls between mother and daughter are a tangible, positive step toward reconciliation.
For sure.
But when this prison sentence inevitably ends, what does recovery actually look like? We are looking at a family fundamentally shattered by the intense pressures of immense fame, the documented trauma of unregulated wilderness camps, and a relentless cycle of generational addiction.
It is the hardest question to answer. Can a bond that was so thoroughly legally severed in a courtroom, a relationship broken by runaways, arrests, the erasure of a family name, and an $80 million will snub ever be authentically repaired in the real world? Or are some fractures, once formalized by the legal system, simply too deep to ever fully heal?
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.